Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome back to the Great Movie Ride podcast. I'm your host, Gaston, joined, of course, by my co-host, Jerryofdom,
Hello.
and our special guest star, Molly Mock.
Hello.
And this week, we are taking a look at the 2016 Disney film, Moana. Um, so yeah, that's pretty exciting. And let's start with our previewing thoughts, and we'll pass that over to Molly Mock as he is our guest. You may start.
My previewing thoughts. Seeing Dwayne Johnson in a Disney animated role was more than enough to get me hooked and excited. I didn't have to really know anything else about the movie to know that if I had to hear Dwayne the Rock Johnson singing, it was going to be a good film. Yeah,
uh,
that's all. That's pretty much as I thought about it beforehand.
Jerryofdom.
I was excited to watch this movie again because it had been a while. Just was upbeat about it.
When you suggested, I was pretty excited to see it again. As I remember, I really enjoyed this film. I love the music, the look, the story. It's just excited to see it again and see how it holds up after taking a more critical analysis of films that we've been doing for the last, I guess, 18 podcasts, which would be like 34, 36 weeks.
We've just been deadlaying this movie a while now.
It's been pushed back quite a few times, but I don't think it's one that we announced out of order though, which is nice. Like some of the ones we did.
Yeah.
And next week we'll be doing this. It's like, well, surprise, we're doing something else. So with all that being said, let's transition to our brief plot sum up. When Maui, the shapeshifter demigod of the wind and sea, steals the heart of Te Fiti, darkness spreads across the land and consumes everything in its path, and Maui and the heart are lost. Moana is the young daughter of the chief, who is chosen by the ocean to find Maui and restore Te Fiti's heart. Boom.
Perfect.
There's your tagline to get your butt in the sea right there. And now let's talk about the characters, and it was actually not too many to talk about in this one compared to some of the movies we've done. So we're going to start, of course, with Moana, who is the curious daughter of village chief Tui and his wife Sina, who is chosen by the ocean to restore the heart of Te Fiti. Louise Bush plays the younger Moana. In case I didn't mention it, she is voiced by Ali Cravalho, who this was her very first movie role back in 2016, was voicing Moana. Who would like to go first?
Moana was a fun character in this one. She's still a really good character, and it's a fun lead of a role. She's not boring. She's interesting. I really hate Frozen, and
And we're
I
not even
don't like
talking
her main
about
character.
Frozen.
But in this one, I really like the main character, So really, it just goes to show this movie's really good.
uh, would you like to follow up on this?
That's a good comparison with Frozen, I guess. I liked Moana because she was very determined and very set on her goals, but not once did it come across as pushy or incompetent. Even when she didn't know something, she was eager to learn and took everything very very well. So she never came off as immature and the wrong choice for the adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, I pretty much agree with your guys' sentiments. She's one of the best written Disney protagonists, full stop. She's extremely well written. She's nuanced. She instantly wins you over. And like you were saying, Molly Mock, she's not a Mary Sue. She fails quite a few times, and that's what makes her such a relatable and compelling protagonist. Is she feels real in a fantastical world? She's very relatable, and it's a nice touch. Like let's not beat around the bush. Disney gets criticized for how its princesses are characterized, especially when we look at the older films like Cinderella or Aurora. The so far in the future now, they've come so far in how they approach it. Now Moana's not the first to be well written, but she definitely compare her to Snow White and see just how far they've come. It's very, very nice. So now let's talk about Maui, who's voiced by Dwayne The Rock Johnson. A legendary, strong-willed yet easily annoyed shapeshifting demigod who sets off with Moana on her journey. Molly Mock, you were so excited to talk about Dwayne Johnson. Why don't you open up first?
Oh man, I watch everything that Dwayne Johnson's in. Um, Whether he's a good actor or not isn't really up for discussion now that it's an animated movie. So all we have to focus on is if he breathes his life into this character. We don't have to worry about his contracts for winning fights or anything. It's just singing, jokes, and a little bit of wholesome, uh, heartwarming actions. And he's definitely one of my favorite Disney characters, as he is loud, uh, very very cocky, and very proud of himself and what he's done. But it's never annoying. It's all done in a bit to make us see him the same way Moana sees him.
Yeah. I really like how Maui's handled this film. Because if you look at the actual mythology, Maui's like one of the worst people ever. But Disney reimagines him as this nuanced, funny character who's absolutely a scene sealer. Stealer. Oh man, I said Steen Sealer, didn't I? Absolutely a scene stealer. Dwayne Johnson, he's more than game as both a voice actor and singer. He does just fine with the vocals in this one, including hitting some notes that aren't necessarily easy ones to hit, especially for someone who's not a singer. He's easily my favorite character in this film. Nick?
It was really good to see him in this role because he hadn't really been in animated movies till now, and it was a good scene for him. You know, there was humor. The Rock's a funny guy, so he does well in this movie. You know, and then he just brings this energy to the table that makes Maui such an enjoyable character, as you both mentioned. And seeing how he's played out throughout the story and how there's actual feelings and stuff, and he is frightened of things, you know, and it's a demigod, you know, but it brought feeling. And as you brought up, Disney does well at changing those dark, terrible stories to something that's nice and joyful.
Mm-hmm. If you want to know what we're referring to, just go ahead and look up how Maui dies in mythology.
Oh, okay.
We were not going to mention it here because we try to keep this family friendly. Don't look it up in the middle of the podcast. Do it after, Nick.
I don't even know how to spell his name.
Oh my
Now
god.
let's transition to Gramatala, who is voiced by Rachel House, Chief Tui's mother and Moana's paternal grandmother. Like Moana, Tala shares a passion for the ocean, and the two have a very deep bond. I guess it's my turn to go first. Gramatala is the village crazy lady, and she is proud of it. she's actually quite a bit of fun. She has some great quips, one-liners, and she serves as like the Rafiki-esque guide for Moana. I just think she's a lot of fun, especially later on in the like towards the end of the first act when right after How Far I'll Go. That scene, I love that scene. It's very funny. Nick.
She was again enjoyable. All these characters in this movie are enjoyable, so I'm just gonna keep repeating that for each character.
It's
Um,
well written.
yeah, so they do well at making you like all these characters, and it was nice seeing how she was the one to push her, because usually, you know, it's the self-motivated character and all of this, but they use her to help with clearing out the self-doubts of Moana and using her as a supportive beacon for her to kind of figure out how to go forward while the grandma's still not giving her direct answers, just showing her a path.
Yeah.
Yeah, building on what that was just said. The ocean choosing Moana, that could have been the catalyst for the adventure, but it had no passion to it. It was just a notice board at that point. The grandmother pushing Moana to keep visiting the ocean, to keep going a little bit further. That really added the heart and the love for the sea that Moana had, and her determination to save the ocean was amplified because of that.
Mhm. All right, so let's transition to our second last character because there's not a ton in this film. We're going to talk about Chief Tui, who is voiced by Tamara Morrison. This is Moana's overprotective father, Sina's husband, and Gramatala's son. He's the chief of Motunui Island, and Christopher Jackson of Hamilton fame, George Washington, provides his singing voice. So Nick, I guess it is.
Yes. What? Okay. I know the voice actor. Who's the voice actor again?
Like a bantha!
That! The whole time I'm sitting like, this sounds so familiar. What is it? And I
He
couldn't
is
figure
Boba
it out.
Fett.
Damn.
I have that in my notes to mention like a bantha.
Perfect. Now I know who he is. It bothered me the whole movie. Anyway, he's an interesting character because usually parrots in Disney movies, they're either good or they're bad or they don't exist. Um,
Well,
you
they
get
did.
three options.
Yeah.
And here he was an interesting character where you see him grow by the end of the movie, where you don't see the growth too much, but you see him being overprotective, and by the end of the movie, you see him accepting terms and pushing along and listening to his daughter. And it's
Mhm.
interesting to see the father figure that he plays throughout the movie.
Yeah. Fair.
Yes, he's uh, uh, the 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 mainstay of his character at the beginning is he's trying to keep everyone on the island. We don't go in the ocean. We don't go in the ocean. And it's strict and it's making up laws. And to a teenager, that's probably the worst thing ever. But you can just tell he's doing it out of so much love. He absolutely loves his daughter and would die if anything happened to her.
Mhm.
And it's so much more visible with him than some other Disney parents.
Mhm.
And his arc kind of building around that was very satisfying and very heartwarming.
Yeah. He's a good dad.
He's a
Straight
great
up.
dad.
He and Moana, they butt heads a bit, but that's part of what makes him so relatable. You believe that this is a father. It's familiar for a lot of people who probably see their own dad reflected in Chief Tui. He does that very well. And despite not having a ton of screen time, he's extremely well developed. That was a masterclass in show don't tell, and it's done very well with Chief Tui. Um, so now let's transition to Tamatoa, who is voiced by Jermaine Clement, a giant villainous treasure hoarding coconut crab from Lalotai, the realm of monsters. And Eric, it is your turn.
Oh, amazing. So as Maui was your favorite character, Tamatoa was mine. Um, Jermaine Clement, I've been listening to his stuff for a long time. Being introduced to Flight of the Conchords by my siblings when I was very young. So hearing that voice singing was I don't know, a flashback almost. It was
Nostalgic.
very nostalgic, yes. And everything about Tamatoa, from his jokes, from his amazing song, to just his design, a crab covered in treasures and gold. I think every part of that is just crack cocaine for my brain. It it goes in so well, and I can't tell you how many times I've watched his sequences just on YouTube, or gone through the movie just to watch the part.
Yeah, Tamatoa is a lot of fun. And Clement, he's clearly having a ball as he's performing, and his song is a delightful earworm. He is so shiny. He's one of the best secondary antagonists in Disney history. He's extremely well executed. I almost wish he was in it more. Although it wouldn't serve the story, it would have made me happy.
I find he was done the right amount for how much he was in it. I feel like more he could have lost his little bit of charm that he had.
It's possible.
That's my thoughts.
Nick?
He had one of my favorite songs in the movie.
It's a good
And
song,
it
man.
was interesting in the second part that he's in and really revealing the depths of characters and really showing to light. It's very interesting to see the revealing that is done through such a comic relief character.
Yeah. But he packs a bit of a impact into our understanding of the story. It's very well executed. He serves his purpose in the film extremely well.
He's a comic relief, but he's not a pushover. He was giving our heroes a real run for their money.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for smart thinking, the journey would have ended there.
Mm-hmm. So before we transition to effects cinematography, I just want to give a special shout out to the insane amount of silent characters in this film who are character enough to be mentioned. And these include the ocean, Tafiti, Teka, Pua, and Heihei. The movie is not the same without these characters, and yes, the ocean is a character, and a very enjoyable character at that. Heihei is great, Pua is adorable, and Tafiti and Taka are the linchpins of the story, Taka being the primary antagonist.
This is where my one complaint comes in. They advertised the pig like one of the main characters, and they took him out. I was so upset.
I can't even begin to mention how many times I've heard that exact complaint from different people just in my day-to-day life. That
I
keeps
was
coming
so
up.
excited for the pig, and then they take him out.
It's a very cute pig.
It is a very cute pig, but the fact that I've heard that complaint from like 7 different people, even before we did a podcast, I heard this complaint about this movie. It's kind of crazy.
It's everyone's biggest complaint about the movie. They love the pig.
Apparently, yeah. So now let's transition to the effects and cinematography. And let me just start off by saying the visuals in this film are absolutely outstanding. It is gorgeous film with so many striking and memorable shots. The cinematography is great too. We'll talk about that a little more in a minute. I especially want to mention the water. The water is animated so beautifully. And another highlighted for me is Lalotai, the Realm of Monsters. Looks amazing. And as you mentioned, as it gets to that deeper part at the end of Shiny, when it switches to that glow in the dark, absolutely incredible. What are you guys?
One of us?
Okay.
This one's more just when you're ready to talk. You go for it.
Okay.
Understood, Papa. Anyways, this movie is gorgeous, as you brought up here. I honestly like the visuals in this movie more than in Kanto, which was later on. There was just something about watching how seeing the water.
It's the water. It's crazy.
There's so many, and seeing the part at the end when the island and all the greenery and watching it grow. I was like, my goodness, I'd hate to be an animator because this looks like a pain in the butt to do. But thank goodness there's people willing to sweat their butts off to do this, you know?
You've both touched on the amazing fluid animation for the water, and that's great. But I don't have to go into that. So instead, I'll go into the hair animation, and such bouncy curly hair. Really, I don't think's been seen since Brave.
Yeah.
It's so alive, and it just every time Maui moves, it's flying around behind him, and it's adds so much life to all of the characters, everyone who has their hair down. And again, the night sky. Um, Thinking of the scene with the grandmother and the manta rays, the stars, and just the scale, the openness of the ocean. Something again not really touched on in other Disney movies. Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I agree with Nick. I think I like it more visually than Encanto.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I draw that line all the way to the water for me. personally, because it blows me away every time. And Kanto is a striking film. Its use of colors is brilliant. But man, because so much of this film is set on the water, they have to nail that, and boy did they. um, so the cinematography, I also think it's amazing, with a lot of incredible shots that spring to mind. The special shout out for me goes to the wayfinding scenes and how those are framed, especially with like the measuring and the tying the sails. Tamatoa's lair, both the exterior shot of it and multiple of the interior shots are like instantly memorable, and almost every single shot in the final confrontation with Taka is just like wow.
Mhm.
Easily the best of effects and cinematography for any animated film we've reviewed thus far. This is easily the top.
That parting the sea at the
Mm,
final battle, that really put all the water animation just to the very brink, the foreground. You could see everything going through the ocean. It was amazing.
Again, good that we bring up that scene. Another scene that I think did cinematography really well was the way that they layered the opening parts of the movie, just getting you set into the movie and the type of vibe it's giving to you. Just the way they have the camera go over. There's no camera. How they have the
yeah,
seats go around and stuff.
yeah,
It does it well.
Hmm.
absolutely.
Um, You're Welcome. That song has a very storyboard, um, painting, animation style.
Mm,
Same with Maui's tattoo of Little Maui.
Mini Maui,
Very,
yeah.
very different stylized that fits hand in hand with the rest of the animation, and it catches your eye so well that it invests you in the song,
Mm-hmm.
which is a key. You don't get distracted during You're Welcome.
Uh, it's
You never
beautiful.
can.
All right. So now let's talk about the writing and score. And the writing is extremely well done in this film. The exposition never overbears. The humor lands. I couldn't think of a single joke that fell flat. Sure, not all of them were loud guffaws, but the humor landed. There were heartwarming aspects that felt earned. They weren't just thrown at us, they were deserved, heartwarming aspects. And then the line that I want to bring out for one of my favorites in the film, it's the one of those quick exhale through the nose lines. When you write it with a bird, it's called tweeting. It's just very well done script. Oh man, it's so good.
Yeah, on the back of the all the heartwarming stuff feels deserved. I found quite a lot of Disney gives us the feel good a little too quickly, and this with Maui really bringing people into his life because he's been helping humans for all this time, but he's never been around and really socialized with humans. And him kind of touching into that humanity was amazing to see.
I I really like the way that they present how Moana grows throughout the movie and the difficulties and the struggles. And there's a lot of self doubts in her, and she doesn't know what to do a lot of the time because she is still. She's not even an adult in the movie, right? She's like a teenager, probably.
16.
Yeah. Like, that's a lot to throw on a 16-year-old. The world's ending. You gotta go restore this heart where a lava monster is guarding it. Like, what the heck? uh, that's a lot of stuff, but she still battles through it. And though she has her downtimes, you see her grow out of them.
It just feels very earned. The story's so well balanced. Um, so let's talk about the score. And the score and the soundtrack are stunning in this
Mhm.
film. The score pays an earnest tribute to the Polynesian culture and history. The soundtrack is incredible with songs like You're Welcome, Shiny, and of course the Oscar-winning How Far I'll Go. But even the like more background songs like Where You Are is a very catchy jive beat to it, and man, this is good. This is good score and soundtrack.
Yeah, it was important. It got the history of the peoples along with the music, because it's so focused on, like, even the cast. They're not casting white guys to play anyone, right? Like everyone here has some level of Maori ancestry, or at least through what I could find. I don't know if maybe they had one white guy as a super background character, but
Technically, yes, but we'll talk about him in a minute.
uh,
Yeah, we're talking. Yeah, good.
I didn't realize I didn't actually talk about the score.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I'm like,
I'm sorry.
is
I
this the
got
score? Okay, so the score, loved it. There was a lot of good upbeat songs in it, and as I mentioned before, my favorite one was Shiny because how it switches from this upbeat, great going to
Yeah.
this darker, deeper meaning.
Well, it's just
And
like the whole way the song changes as soon as it hits the bridge, because he's going from the I can't, I'm too shiny, and it's all bouncy to far from the ones who like it's the transition is incredible.
it's great the way they did it because it really puts you on the edge of your seat when it does that transition because you're like, wait, what?
As his vocals drop, it like draws you in closer to this monster. Like it's man.
I have no idea how far I'll go didn't get as much popularity or attraction as Let It Go.
Oh
Because
yeah,
really,
it deserves it.
oh man,
I'm glad it won the Oscar, but didn't have the staying power that Let It Go had.
I know. And Let It Go shouldn't have had the staying power that it did have.
I feel like if it didn't
True, let it go.
I feel like if it didn't have the popularity it got, it would be remembered differently because it is a very well orchestrated song.
It's a good song, for sure. But
Yeah.
it's the Frozen song now.
um, I think my favorite song is probably "You're Welcome." I really like how that one goes about and like switches to rap at the end, which is very much Lin Manuel Miranda's writing expertise. His go-to stuff with Hamilton and such is very very well done. So let's head into the big heavy spoiler section. So warning, warning, heavy spoilers ahead. Let's begin.
You should have seen this movie by now because it's like 5 years old.
7, actually.
7.
Or
Even-
6.
Oh, you're
6.
joking.
Yeah.
It'll be 6 in November, but
Wow.
it's 6th year.
Jeez.
On the Polynesian island of Motunui, the inhabitants worship the goddess of nature Tefiti, who brought life to the ocean long ago using her heart as the source of her power. Maui, the trickster, shapeshifting demigod of the wind and sea and master of sailing, steals the heart to give humanity the power of creation. This causes a darkness to spread from Tefiti's corpse, and Maui is attacked offshore by Taka, a volcanic monster. He loses both the heart and his magical giant fishhook to the depths of the sea. And that's your first 2 minutes. What happens? They fit a
They
lot
just
in.
throw a whole bunch of information. You're like,
But it's done in a captivating way that it doesn't feel like an exposition dump, even though that is by definition what that is.
Yeah, it's the setup.
It works so well.
they did it really well. I enjoyed it because it really ties you into the plot and the feeling of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys notice Tamatoa in the opening?
I don't think I did.
Yes.
You did? And right at the end of Gramatala
When
telling
they're
the
showing
story,
monsters.
says the demons of the deep rise to grab at Tamatoa is the first one to jump out. That's something you don't notice the first time you watch it.
Like
But
the Coconut Gang, they show the
the
crab.
Kakamora, yep.
And I think there's another creature that they just didn't include in the movie.
There was a couple other ones that didn't
There
actually
was like
show
a
up.
row of like 3, and then it was Taka,
Hmm.
but there was like a sea serpent, and they probably were gonna have it, and then they're like, never mind.
Cut for
Probably
time,
ran out of time,
probably.
yeah.
Yeah. I love as soon as she finishes telling the story, and like how and the darkness will consume us all in inescapable death, and the one kid just passes out. I love that.
Well, for good reason. That's scary.
He just, um, oh, I love that opening. um, so 1,000 years after this incident, in the present time, the ocean chooses Moana, daughter of Motunui's chief Tui, to return the heart of Te Fiti. Baby Moana is absolutely adorable. Like, oh my goodness, so cute. Um, and then with the little turtle too, that was so nice. Um, Tui and Sina, Moana's father and mother, try to keep her away from the ocean, prepare her to become the island's chief. It's a very exciting and well orchestrated setup. So 16 years pass, so I guess she'd probably be 17. And the darkness has reached the island, killing vegetation and forcing the fish to retreat, making it hard to catch fish. So Moana suggests going beyond the island's reef with her. Sorry, I mixed my sentence here. Moana suggests going to look for fish beyond the island's reef, which protective dad instinct kicks in, and Tui and her get into a little bit of a loud disagreement. I love the villagers' reactions to it, though. I've had feelings like that before. Um, but she is still drawn to the water, so she takes her pet pig Pua and tries to conquer the reef, where the incredible How Far I'll Go comes into play. But this culminates with the tides overpowering her boat and shipwrecking her back on Motunui. Um, it's a great sequence of events. I really enjoy it. Um, I like Pua's reaction to the oar immediately after.
I love that whole scene of the afterwards because it brings into her character the realization of why she hasn't gone out there, and it brings her down. But it's also just funny watching Pua being a pig.
Well, and then Gramatala walks up and whatever just happened, blame it on the pig.
And then she's like, "Don't tell Dad. I'm his mother. I don't have to tell him anything."
Yeah. And then, like, I'm going to go and place my stone on the mountain. Okay. Walks into the water. And if there's something you want to tell me, just tell me. Or no, you're acting weirder than normal. I'm the village crazy lady. That's my job. Is there something you want to tell me? Is there something you want to hear? Gramatala in this scene is so good. Um, So, Gramatala shows her a secret cave of ships, revealing that their people were voyagers until Maui stole Te Fiti's heart, making the ocean no longer safe. Tala explains that the darkness that is coming from Te Fiti's corpse is poisoning the island and can only be cured if Moana finds Maui, delivers him across the sea, and he restores the heart of Te Fiti. Having been given the heart of Te Fiti by the ocean, which had tried to give to Moana as a baby, and Gramatala was there that day and picked it up, Gramatala gives it to Moana. As Moana races to tell her father how she can save everyone, there's of course another disagreement, which culminates with Gramatala's heart giving out. As she is passing on, she tells Moana that she must go find Maui, and Gramatala dies.
So sad.
About par for a Disney film.
Yeah,
although I
God,
don't,
okay.
although I don't remember Rafiki dying, but the point still stands.
Gone too
Rafiki
soon.
died.
um, so, um, there's our Act One of this film, Motunui.
And it was a good setup. You know, it really brought you into the movie, but there was still a lot of unknowns because there's the whole ocean ahead of you. You don't know where this movie's gonna go. Only knows there's one goal, but what's gonna happen in between? Well, it's an interesting setup.
Yeah, it draws you in. So, Act 2. Moana sets sail on a kamikau, which is the actual name for that type of boat. Learn
Not
something
kayak.
new. No. Kayaks don't have sails.
I know. You
Um,
have a sail.
and her dim-witted pet rooster, Hey Hey, whose vocal effects are provided by Alan Tudyk, who's been in pretty much every Disney film since Wreck-It Ralph.
When is he not in a movie anymore?
It's pretty great, actually. He's kind of just usually has vocal cameos for an animal. Is usually what he is. He was a toucan in Encanto. He was Tuk Tuk in Raya and the Last Dragon. It's kind of fun to see if you can spot him. He's our token white guy in this film. He is stowed away on the ship. Hey Hey has some pretty fun moments. He's actually really funny, despite being a very dumb rooster. They are caught in a typhoon and shipwrecked on an island, where she finds Maui, who boasts about his achievements in the amazingly catchy song of You're Welcome. She demands that Maui return the heart, but he refuses and traps her in a cave before leaving on Moana's kamikau. I love that scene with and thank you. Did I ever show you guys the You're Welcome but literal?
I think you have.
Reverse Jesus. So funny. So funny. She escapes the cave and confronts Maui, with the ocean depositing her onto the
And
boat.
he just keeps going bonk.
Every time he throws her off the ocean deposit. And then I love the final one with, alright, I'm out, goes to swim away in the ocean, puts it back on. Oh, come on! I love it. And he reluctantly lets her stay on because he didn't have much of a choice in the matter. And when it's revealed that Maui fears the heart of Te Fiti, the Kakamora arrive. Coconut pirates.
Coconuts.
And to Moana's credit, they are kind of cute. In a very odd way, they're kind of cute. But they seek the heart. Yeah. They seek the heart, and this is actually a pretty clever action sequence. I quite like how the Kakamora attack plays out. There's some nice slapstick parts, some pretty intense parts. The two things that I really like about this, I like the one guy accidentally shooting the chief with the blow dart. And I like when Moana retrieves the heart and lands back on the boat with the drum beat as the three parts of the ship come to surround it and the do. I love that scene. It's great. But they do manage to outwit them and speed out of the way, and the boats crash into each other, and the Kakamora sink into the sea below. Just committed genocide, but you know. We're not gonna worry about that. We're not gonna worry about that. We'll keep going.
Don't worry about that.
Moana then realized that Maui is no longer a hero since he stole the heart. Or not, she realizes, helps Maui to realize that he's nobody's hero now because of what he's brought on the world. And convinces him to redeem himself and win back their adoring adulation by returning the heart. Maui relents on the condition that first they retrieve the magical fishhook from Lalotai, the realm of monsters. And Maui suspects that if anyone's gonna have it, it's that bottom feeder Tamatoa. A giant coconut crab. There's some with coconuts in this film.
Coconuts.
Coconuts. So, they head into Lalotai, which is a visually striking place. It's really cool. It's really
And
cool.
that one monster is getting crap on me.
Yeah, that's a scary monster. That's the scariest thing in the film, that thing. I know exactly what one you mean with the mask. That's
like
terrifying.
the type of things that are in my nightmares.
It's terrifying. So,
Oh, that thing.
yeah.
I forgot about that.
The scariest thing in the movie. So Moana acts as bait to distract Tamatoa, who is the delightful performance we mentioned earlier from Jermaine Clement, with so many great lines. I love as he's holding her up, Pick an eye, babe. Babe, just pick one. Pick one. What are you doing down here in the realm of the monsters? Oh, it's fun. And are you trying to get me to talk about myself? Because if you are, I will gladly do so in song form. I love Tamatoa.
That's
That's
a fun character.
yep.
You know what I did to my grandma?
I ate my
her.
grandma, and it took forever because she was humongous. Oh, it's fun. And Shiny kicks in. Great song. Very dark at the same time as bouncy and light. It's a good song. But it also culminates in the middle of the song with Maui retrieving the hook, only to find himself unable to control his shapeshifting. And Tamatoa then, for the rest of the song, beats the absolute snot out of our demigod hero. Like, dang, Maui got wrecked. I also like when he picks up the hook, Tamatoa hiding behind his shell until he sees that he can't do anything, and then, well. I love it. So, in this part of the song, we learn that we learn a lot about Maui as he transitions to a very pointed attack on Maui's history and character. About how he was abandoned by the humans and he's chasing their love who made them feel wanted, but it's not enough. And the walls he put up can't save him now. It's very, very poignant and really helps us understand Maui through the secondary antagonists. It's a very cleverly written film. And this has Moana have quick thinking to allow them to escape from Tamatoa, which has one of my favorite moments where she takes a barnacle and covers it in glowing algae and throws it to the side. As Tamatoa digs it up, he picks it up. He's like, the heart of Te Fiti. And he's like, oh, wait, no, hold on. No, I see. She's taken a barnacle and covered in some bioluminescent algae. Crack! You can't run from me. Oh, apparently you can't. You keep surprising me. I love Tamatoa, man. He's so
Just
fun.
was such an energetic, fun character.
Oh man.
Yeah. And then, when he's defeated, they take a geyser to get out of the realm of monsters, and it knocks him onto his back. His final line in this scene, did you like the song?
Okay, I accept defeat, but did you like this?
But did you like the song? I love it. Maui reveals that his first tattoo was earned when his mortal parents abandoned him as an infant, and the gods, taking pity on him, granted him the powers, making him a demigod. After reassurances from Moana and a very humorous sequence of him trying to remaster his power, I especially love how this scene starts with the "Hey, it's okay, we're dead soon."
One of my favorite parts out of that is when they first get out and they're on the beach and he has the
Shark
head.
head.
And he's like,
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
being really sincere, and you're not really taking it.
You're telling me like I have a. Oh, come on! I love that. So Maui teaches her the art of sailing and wayfinding, and slowly gains control of his powers as the two grow closer. And that concludes Act 2 of our story. The movie never lags. It keeps a nice, decent pace all throughout. That makes the story engaging. Yep, keeps the story engaging, easy to follow. So they arrive at Te Fiti's island to be faced with Taka for Maui for a second time. But as Maui begins to realize that he is no match for Taka, Moana refuses to turn back, resulting in Maui taking a full strike from Taka with the hook, cracking and damaging it. I actually really like this scene. I know it's a trope that CinemaSins makes fun of, is the two main characters have a fight in an animated film cliche.
Yeah.
But I really like how this one plays out.
This was a good one.
Especially with the way he delivers the line, without my hook, I'm nothing. Like, at first she's like, without my hook, I am nothing. And then she pushes again, without my hook, I am nothing. I love how that was delivered. Like, man.
Something was on the lines with this fight. Like it was like a life or death thing. They messed up and they're fighting about it.
Mm-hmm.
Compare that to like Wreck-It Ralph or something. It's nowhere near as
Impactful.
impactful or something.
I like how this plays out.
It was so good.
So, unwilling to lose his hook by facing Taka once more, Maui abandons Moana, who tearfully asks the ocean to find someone else to restore the heart, and loses hope. As she breaks down in despair, the ocean obliges and takes the heart, but Gramatala's spirit appears, inspiring Moana to find her true calling. If this is not one of the most rousing scenes in a Disney film, I don't know what is. Culminating with the "I am Moana," like, man.
And the lighting and everything.
Beautiful.
Oh.
Like I said, with the night sky.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
And touching too, because like
Yeah.
Grandma came back. Grandma's
Dead.
Grandma. Oh yes, Grandma is dead.
And Leia's grandma, she's dead.
She's dead.
Grandma's dead. But it's exactly who she would have needed.
Yeah.
She could have seen a kind of image of her parents, or the ocean could have came and kind of reminded her. But Grandma's the one that instilled that passion, and it's only fitting that it is her that helps.
So Moana dives down into the ocean and retrieves the heart and sails back to confront Taka with her plan to use the fact that the lava monster can't enter the ocean to her advantage to return the heart. She tries to outthink Taka, and it starts out doing all right. She starts out doing pretty well against Taka. But just as Taka is about to take the upper hand, Maui returns, having had his change of heart, and buys Moana time to reach Te Fiti by fighting Taka, with the dramatic destruction of his fishhook in the process. Yeah. And what does Maui do without his beloved toy? To steal a term from a mobile game we play, he stands up and taunts. Just full-blown draws Taka's attention to him. He has nothing to deflect the blast, but that doesn't stop him. I love that scene a lot.
Such a good scene.
So then Moana climbs up Te Fiti to place the heart in the spiral, only to find that Te Fiti is gone. Trying to figure out what happened, the smoke clears around Taka, revealing the spiral in its chest. Moana realizes that, in a pretty decent twist actually, that Taka is in fact Te Fiti corrupted without her heart. Moana asks the ocean to clear a path to allow Taka to reach her. And there's a beautifully scored, beautiful visual spectacle as Taka races towards Moana. Moana just calmly walking, talking about how they stole the heart from inside you, but this does not define you. It does not change who you are, who you truly are. And they share a moment, and then Moana restores the heart and brings Te Fiti back to life.
So good.
It's great. Te Fiti picks up Moana and Maui, and Maui takes a nice slice of humble pie and apologizes for what he did, and Te Fiti restores his hook to him and decorates Moana's boat with flowers before falling into a deep sleep and becoming the Mother Island again, ending the blight and restoring life to the ocean. Moana and Maui part ways, with Maui saying that he'll see her out there, which was such a nice line. Moana returns to Motunui, where she reunites with her parents. She takes up her role as chief and wayfinder, leading her people as they resume voyaging. Chief Tui in hand, they left some population of Motunui and the rest to go find the new islands, with Maui flying overhead in hawk form and title card. Du-du-du.
What a great movie.
It's a great movie.
Really
And
good.
the post-credit scene.
I can't wait to talk about the post-credit scene, but the post-credit scene goes back to Lalotai, where Tamatoa is still lying on his back, and he's just saying stuff. I'm shiny. I'm so shiny. But what good did it do me, huh? And then he decides to break the fourth wall, looks directly at the audience, and Okay, can we be real for a second here? If my name was Sebastian and I had a cool Jamaican accent, you'd totally help me out. You know you would. Of course, a reference to The Little Mermaid. That's a great way to end this film. Um, good
The
movie.
perfect way, like not sequel baiting or anything like that. Just a
Mm.
nice, clean
Yeah.
final joke with the best character.
That's what Disney does so well. Usually their post-credit scene is just one final joke.
Hmm.
Like, I'll always remember the one from Finding Nemo, where the anglerfish, and there's the little fish, the little guppy, and the anglerfish comes up to it, and the little guppy eats the anglerfish. It was just like, oh.
Oh.
um,
Still can't watch Finding Nemo. It's too scary.
It's very scary.
so let's wrap up this podcast with our final bit here. Our favorite and least favorite scene. Mollymock, why don't you start with your favorite scene?
My favorite would probably Shiny. Especially when the music changes and the lights go
Mhm.
down. That's amazing and stuck with me ever since I've seen it. I always think about that scene.
Mhm.
My least favorite. See, this is one of the few movies where I don't have an immediate contender for least favorite because the pacing was really good. I didn't feel like any part dragged on a ton. So if I did have to say least favorite, I'd say one of the opening island scenes, just because it was kind of building up and uh, wasn't at this story yet.
Hmm.
But by no means no means a bad scene. Just everything else. It just went up from there, so everything else is better.
Nick?
My favorite scene is the first confrontation with Taka.
When Maui's hook gets damaged?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's something so visually stunning about that whole.
it's pretty impressive.
My least favorite scene. I don't have one.
It's
I have
hard
no
with this
complaints with
film.
this movie. I couldn't find one where I went, "Dang, I don't like this scene." The movie
Yeah,
was too good.
hard with this film.
So I'm not picking one. Get wrecked.
Wow.
My favorite scene is the entire Lalotai sequence. It's the
Okay.
beautiful visuals, terrific song, and to me, that's where the movie's humor worked the best. Was Maui and Tamatoa together? Because even like right before that, when he lands and they're all the monsters, like, and he sticks to land and give me some, and Minnie Maui gives another point to Moana and like, hey, dum dum, she's not in here. No, he was gonna jump into, goes bouncing past him off the cliff. Well, she's dead. Let's go get my hook. I love it.
Yeah.
Um, my least favorite scene, and like I said, it's tricky, but I went with the dream sequence when she sees her parents in peril from the darkness. It's not that I have a problem with it, it's just it was unnecessary because I get why they did it, but
I
they
forgot
didn't
about that scene.
they
I did
didn't
too.
they didn't need to show the risk because we know the risk. It was shown earlier when Maui escaped from the island. So not that I have a problem with the scene, it does raise the stakes for Moana. It's just it's hard to pick one. If I were to say one, it would be that one. You could cut
Yeah,
that from the
I'll agree with
film.
you.
You could cut that one from the film and not lose anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I picked it. Not that I have a problem with it. It was visually impressive, sure. It's just not needed. Overall ratings. Nick, why don't you start? What's your percentage?
97.
97%. Eric,
Yeah, probably 90, 95.
that's a pretty big range.
Okay, 94.
94%. For me, this one was head to head with Encanto. I gave Encanto a 90%. And as I was looking at the film, I thought visually Moana is better. Plot wise, Moana is better. Music wise, Encanto is better. It's got more songs that are really, really good. And then overall feel, I couldn't pick a winner, so I gave Moana 90% as well. Complete tie with Encanto. I could not pick a winner. I love both those films. They're great.
That's fair.
A bit of a cop out, sure, but I really couldn't decide.
Total cop out.
Popping out.
Wow.
So, what's next for the Great Movie Ride podcast? Well, I'm glad you asked. Next time, we are headed into perhaps the most famous non-superhero related Christopher Nolan film, Inception. A film which I've only seen once before. So that will be interesting, and that is what's to look forward to next time. For the Great Movie Ride podcast, I've been Gaston.
I've been Jerryofdom.
And Mollymock.
And we'll see you in the movies. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.